Hey y'all, it's me. It's your girl, the real deal, Anita Skills Reaction. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm back with a content on Lori Vallow Doomsday Mom. The verdict will be streamed live. Yes, we will see the live verdict. Okay, so let's go to this is for news reporting purposes, criticism, commenting purposes. Yeah. So let's get with it and see. It's supposed to be announced today. So let's check it out.
We have just learned that the court will stream the verdict live.
Yeah, so if you've been following the case, you know cameras have been banned for the courtroom. They've released some audio recordings. So there was worries there'd be too much coverage, make it hard to find a fair and impartial jury. But once the verdict is being read, the jury's work is over at that point. So the judge in the case released the order this morning. The verdict will be streamed live on YouTube, and I'm sure we will pick that up as well here on Fox 10, depending on what time of day it is. The day, today's day 25 of that trial. Yesterday, a former FBI agent took the stand telling the jury about dozens of conversations between Vallow and her husband, Chad Daybell, and the light that they may shed on that as well. So Fox 10 investigative reporter Justin Lum has been on this case since the very beginning. He's heading back to Idaho for the closing days of the trial, bringing you live reports as we wait for the end of the trial. And again, then we will see this verdict.
Okay. Let's see it, y'all. Let's see it then.
Were you recently injured in a car accident? Look at this check for $160,000.
I didn't see it coming. I'm not the only one. Nobody in the courtroom saw it coming. The defense decided to do nothing. Lori Vallow decided to do nothing. Not going to call a witness, not going to put on a case. Not that I haven't seen it before. I've seen it before. It just seems so lazy. But the truth is, her lawyers believe the state, after all these weeks, just didn't make the case. So there's nothing they have to say. Burden's on them, not on me. That's effectively what they're saying. But that was a big surprise to everyone, especially Laura Mathias, co-host of the Hidden True Crime podcast. She was sitting in the courtroom when that happened. Was it like that moment where you could hear a pin drop and a gasp and a Perry Mason thing? Or, I mean, how many more days did we think, we'd be in that courtroom getting evidence?
I thought that we'd be there at least until Friday, hearing what the defense was going to say. I think everyone did. We all turned to each other and said, what? Really? We even thought that maybe Lori would be taking the stand herself this afternoon. Rumors were flying about that. In fact, even in the Woodcocks were concerned about that today, that might happen. And so to hear that all of a sudden, after we hear this big news that, the state rests, to hear that the defense rests too, yes, you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah. Well, listen, they better have like a Johnny Cochran moment for closings, right? Because there's a lot of stuff they need to tamp down that made that lady look like the most despicable mother ever to walk the planet, other than maybe, what people said about Casey Anthony. Okay, so what was interesting about today, however, I have to say, Lauren, and maybe you will disagree, I don't know, is that the texts that they went over all day today seemed to really just bring the conspiracy together, like foment that Alex and Lori and Chad were busy little beavers texting like mad all around the times of all the murders that they're charged with.
Absolutely. We couldn't agree more. In fact, I would call it a very heavy day in court, and not a day that we all expected to be this emotional. I know I was feeling emotional. I know that to hear that these people were discussing in text, they were joking, they were making sexual jokes, they were making fun of their family members, they were flirting, they were talking about how there were too many children around, talking about how they wanted to be together. And then to think that a child, we got to one investigator saying, and then I unburied, his grave, and I took off stone by stone. and I saw his face, and there he was. And to think those things, those selfish things led to that. It was a very heavy day in court.
Let me remind our viewers of what I think might be the most important testimony of the entire case. And I think some other people just kind of like weren't paying much attention to it, but it's the linchpin that brings her into a conspiracy. Because if you don't have Lori in a conspiracy, you sure as hell don't have her putting the tape over her son's mouth or chopping up her daughter. We don't have any evidence to that. So you've got to bring her into the conspiracy if you want a conviction. And yesterday, this text, a couple of them, were read out. And I want to tell our audience what this is. Alex, her brother, texts to her about the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi's in, what you doing? And she says, working on Z's. What did you decide on username and password? And Alex says, network name is Auntie Laman, or maybe it's Layman. Let me stop for a minute there. Don't drop this graphic. I looked that term up, and I discovered that it's a Mormon reference, meaning children in whom there is no faith. So if it's a reference to those two children having no faith in their crazy religion, perhaps that's why he chose Auntie Laman. Password is too many kids, Lori says, funny. And then a little later on, Lori continues to text Alex, and this is where it's key. She says, we are trying to get to the bottom of what we need to do to eliminate them completely. I'm sure you will be told also. To which Alex replies, excellent. That is on September 3rd, 2019, just days before Tylee is dead. On August 10th, Lori says, do you think there's a perfectly orchestrated plan to take the children? She's writing to Chad. And we just have to wait for it to be carried out. I feel lost, like I should be doing something to help. Chad says, there is a plan being orchestrated for the children. I was shown last night how it fit together, but it has been taken from my mind, of course. You know, these are the kinds of things, Lauren, that don't sit well. I mean, that sounds like perfectly orchestrated plan. And, you know, Alex, you'll find out soon enough how we're going to eliminate them. To me, that's Lori planning to eliminate her kids. And I'm not sure if it felt that way in the courtroom.
All right, y'all, you heard it from Banfield. No 10 call, no witnesses. They rest their case. So they gave up. Let's see what happened. The verdict gonna be. Lori need to be. What y'all think? Y'all think she guilty? Do y'all think she guilty? Y'all like, share, and subscribe, and put in the comment section what you think. All right, I'm out.